Production support for Infocus is provided by Smithville, a locally owned business serving central and southern Indiana since 1922 with residential and business internet, voice, and security services. Smithville, local pride, global technology. Information at smithville.net. Hoosier Energy, providing electricity for central and southern Indiana electric cooperatives and their member customers. Information at hepn.com. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
By the year 2050, it's estimated that Americans aged 60 and older will total 112 million. In the early part of the 20th century, just 5 million people lived to that age. Census Department numbers show the elderly population could represent 1/5 of all Americans within 20 years. As the population ages, what are people doing to live longer lives and take care of themselves as they age? We'll discuss this and more as we put aging and wellness in focus. Thanks for joining us for this edition of In Focus. I'm Stan Jastrzebski. If you have questions for one of our studio experts during tonight's program, please email us at infocus@indiana.edu or call us at 1-800-987-9848. With the continued increase in the number of senior citizens, more and more caregivers are concerned with aging healthily. As WTIU's Shamika Neely reports, experts have a new saying which also serves as a warning of sorts. If you think old, you are old.
The latest statistics from the Administration on Aging states that elderly population are living longer. In 2009, persons over age 65 numbered more than 39 million. This represents 12.9% of the U.S. population. Some caregivers feel that it's more important to keep the minds and bodies active in order to continue to see a climb in the lifespan of the elderly.
As people come to Meadowood, wellness is something that they're looking for. People have been interested in what type of programming we have surrounding wellness, and I think that people have become more aware of being healthy in their later years, that prolongs their life and adds to their ability to stay active. We feature a balance class that is really important, and a lot of residents find that that's really helpful. And falls is a really dangerous aspect of aging for people, and so to work on one's balance is really good for preventing that.
Typically, I have exercise 3 times a week, which is really important to me, and balance class 2 times a week. So every day, some kind of physical, and I try to fit in because I need to some time in the Nautilus to work on upper back.
In 2010, nearly 53 million Americans will receive $703 billion in Social Security benefits. Retired workers will receive an average of $1,170 average monthly benefit per month. And Aloe says that this amount isn't going to increase next year, which may leave some senior citizens tightening purse strings.
Because of living longer, I think people are just thinking about retirement living in a different way, because they're looking at those assets and they're concerned about how they're going to make them last. And certainly, I know that this year or in the coming year, there won't be a cost of living adjustment for Social Security.
According to the Administration on Aging, the 65 and older population lifespan has increased from almost 5 million in the 1900s to more than 45 million in 2000 and is projected to reach more than 92 million in 2013. Tonight, we focus on aspects of aging that more senior citizens are gravitating to, as well as the economic impact of living longer as we put aging and wellness in focus.
And joining me this evening is my co-host, Sarah Whitmire. Sarah, tell us who you'll be talking to in the WFIU studios tonight.
Good evening, Stan. Tonight I'll be speaking to Dr. Eric Plasker, and he's the author of The 100-Year Lifestyle, which has some interesting ideas about aging. So that coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Sarah. And joining me tonight in the studio, our Area 10 Agency on Aging's Monroe and Owen County Executive Director, Kerry Conway, Brooke Aloe, Marketing Director at Meadowood Retirement Community, and Dr. Kosali Simon, a professor in Indiana University's School of Public and Environmental Affairs. Thanks to all 3 of you for being here. Kerry, we'll start with you. We'll move on down the line. I just want to address a basic question at the very beginning. I'd like your opinions on what the most pressing concerns are right now as we speak for seniors and indeed also for their caregivers.
There are many pressing concerns, but probably the one that first comes to mind is the fact that we have a system right now that, in terms of providing care for seniors in our community, that really is focused in the state of Indiana more on long-term care facilities than on home and community-based care. Indiana ranks 49th out of 50th states in terms of how we balance the money that we provide for care in nursing facilities as opposed to the money that we provide for care in communities. And also in terms of the number of people that we have in nursing facilities, long-term care facilities, and the number of people we have at home. And yet every survey of the elderly shows that actually they want to be at home. So probably our biggest challenge is going to be rebalancing that system and looking at how we can provide caregivers with the supports they need in order to provide care for seniors in their homes. It's more cost effective.
Brooke?
I think that from the retirement community perspective, Meadowood is a place where people would come to have an active retirement lifestyle, and with the economic downturn, I think the most pressing issue on their minds is making their retirement dollar last. And they've seen a decrease in their portfolio, and so they're most concerned about when they can move to experience a lot of the benefits that they get from living in community and having an opportunity to kind of experience that active retirement lifestyle. But the decision now is kind of, well, when will we do it as a result of that portfolio shift?
Dr. Simon?
I think from an economic and policy standpoint, big questions are going to be about how programs that we have existing that support elderly are going to be designed, and how they're going to react to these facts that we're seeing: increased longevity and the growth of the retiring baby boom generation, and how well we're going to be able to adapt to all these demographic changes.
Let's talk about that for a second. What does your research say about the need for some perhaps structural changes within the way the system serves an increasing elderly population? Do there need to be systematic structural changes in order to assure that people can, in fact, not just retire, but enjoy their longer lifespans in a way that is, sensible?
I think that aging implies lots of changes in an economic system, because you could think about there being things that could enhance economic productivity from increased longevity, but then there also could be aspects that impose higher costs on society. So one way that economic growth could increase as the population lives to a longer age is that their decisions change. If you think that you're going to live longer, you're going to act in ways that are different. So during the 20th century, the life expectancy has increased about 30 years. This means big changes in how people may approach investments they make in their own education. If you think you're going to be alive and working longer, you may invest more in your education. You may save more for years when you're going to be retired. On the other hand, this also means if retirement ages don't change with this demographic shift, that there'll be more years during which government programs like Medicare and Social Security are paying benefits out, and so there are going to be higher costs there. In the end, it sort of depends on how the balance is. How much do the changes in education and investment and work life extensions change to balance the cost sides? And I think those are big questions.
Brooke and Kerry, quickly from your perspectives, what do you think about the need, if any, for change in the way the system works at the moment?
Well, I think that we're sort of conditioned to think about aging in a deficit sense. I mean, when you think of aging, what comes to mind? It's sort of, this falling apart process. And the truth of the matter is, when retirement as a concept was invented, the average lifespan was about the retirement age. People might have lived 2 or 3 years past that. And we are obviously just within our lifetime, my lifetime anyway, not yours perhaps, we've lived to the point where, retirement, you've got another 20, 30 years. And what I have seen with this first wave of baby boomers starting to retire, this sort of silver tsunami that's rolling our way, is that they're not looking at retirement in the same way at all. They don't want to go off to that golf community in Arizona and, sit in the sun all day long. They're looking at second careers, maybe in the nonprofit, something mission-oriented. They're looking at wanting to make a difference in the world, and they're looking at what's called an encore retirement, where they're not going to sit in the rocking chair. They're going to get up and do something. They're going to be productive. They're going to contribute.
Is that what you're seeing at Meadowood, Brooke? I mean, we saw some people exercising fairly actively in that video just a minute ago.
Right, without a doubt. People that come to Meadowood are interested in active retirement living. I think that's a tenet of our community that we really push when we're talking to people about making a move. They really want to be involved in the activities that we host both on our campus and around the community. A number of our residents volunteer. Kerry, through the Area 10 Agency on Aging, has a retired senior volunteer program, and I know that many people are part of that. The hospital has many of our residents as volunteers, so in that way, people are, as she describes, really looking for ways to be engaged and to keep themselves fit and active, as you can see in the video. But that's only one component. You know, there are other areas that that Kerry speaks about with regard to kind of reinvestigating career paths and things like that that are also a really important part of a healthy aging process.
All right, I want to get back to this in just a minute, but right now let's go over to Sarah with more. Sarah?